The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Good morning. Court Radio is now in session. Call 215-227-2727. When you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. This is Court Radio. And now here's your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. It's Court Radio and I'm Dean Weitzman, and this is your hour to ask legal questions one at a time and probably get an answer. All you got to do is give us a call at 215-227-2727. That gets into the studio where I'll get a chance to discuss your legal issues with you this morning. So if you've been sitting on something all week or all month and you're ready to ask that question, today's your day. 215-227-2727. Thank you. Today is the first Sunday in October. How about it, folks? Is this year flying by or what? October the 2nd, we're in the last quarter of the year, and 2016 will be in the history books. But not before we have a presidential election, and that seems to be taking over the news lately. Hillary and Donald had their first debate this week, and I think the consensus is that Hillary crushed Mr. Trump. He just, for the most part, didn't look like presidential material. Wasn't very strong, didn't have the greatest command of the facts. But it seems to be that that's his M.O., and his strong base will follow him to the ends of earth, no matter how incompetent, unethical, or issue-laden he becomes. So it's, we're going to get to a point where we have an election, right? It seems like it's gone on forever, ever, and a day. But we're going to have an election. And I think the overwhelming consensus is that Hillary Clinton is our next president. Everybody wants change. I think, those who are going to vote for Hillary and those who are going to vote for Donald, everybody, the consensus is, wants change. We're tired of politics as usual. And we're going to have, and what we're going to get is politics as usual. But that's, bad enough, but that's not quite as bad as getting Donald Trump, who is in the news this week for so many things that aren't really good for a president. But the last one is that, he said in the debate that he was just being a smart businessman by not paying any taxes. A guy makes hundreds of millions of dollars and is not paying a nickel's worth of taxes. Go figure that out. But the government's on him. And a story broke this week that about, something like $800 or $900 million are going after him for taxes from 1995. And what do you figure? It's 21 years, Maybe it's time to pay that debt. I'd like to hear from people. If anybody's going to vote for Donald, I'd love to hear the reason. I mean, I know most people, they can't. They just have such a bad feeling about Hillary Clinton that they can't vote for her. Bernie Sanders says this week, this is not the election or the time to cast a vote for a third-party candidate. Protest votes are too dangerous this year. And so he's urging all of the people who support him to vote for Hillary. So we'll see what happens. But if you've got an opinion about the election or you know who you're voting for, let us know. 215-227-2727. Let's take an early caller. Let's talk to Mamie from North Philly on line 2, Eric. Good morning, Mamie.
Good morning.
How are you, dear?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
That's a wonderful way to be. So what brings you to the show this morning? What's your question, Mamie?
I need to know what is probate and what do I need to do to get documents probated.
Okay. Probate is a process where the city and state sanctify the distribution of a person's assets after they pass. So any property that is owned by an individual who passes away is subject to being probated. And that means that the government gets to take their piece of tax dollar out of it, perhaps. And they also administer and watch and make sure that the property is dispersed appropriately, whether it's under the person's will. And so what you do is you take the will, if there is one, and you march down to a city hall, to the Register of Wills, and you file the will. And then that begins the probate process. And then you have a certain amount of time, I believe 9 months, to gather up all the person's property, disperse it to those who it belongs to after the passing, and file your final papers and your final tax return. And that's the probate process. Now, if there's no will, then you're going to have the property probated under intestacy, which is the law that governs estates and deaths where there are no wills. So there's a process no matter what circumstance you find yourself under. And usually, not always, but usually, it goes a lot smoother and you save money in the end when you have an attorney who helps you in that process.
Okay.
Question?
Thank you.
All right, Mamie. If you need help, listen, if you need help probating the will, you can always, my good friend and partner, Saul Langsam, who's always on Court Radio, not today, but usually he's here, and Saul will be happy to help you. All you got to do is give the office a call during the week at 215-227-2727, and he'll sit down with you and walk you through the process step by step.
Okay, and what's his name again?
That's Saul, S-A-U-L. Just call Saul, Mamie.
I will call Saul, and I thank you, and you have a blessed day.
All right, Mamie, be well.
Bye-bye.
215-227-2727. What else is on in the news today? There was a horrific train accident. Seems like this is an everyday occurrence, far too often, and there was one death. And a number of injuries in a New Jersey Transit train accident. Let's talk to Joseph, line 3, Eric, from Deptford. Joseph, good morning. Welcome to Court Radio.
Dean, how you doing, sir?
I'm well, thanks. Are you a Trump voter?
Happy Sunday.
Thanks. Happy Sunday. Are you a Trump voter, Joe?
I've been liberal my whole life. Voted Democratic my whole life up until this election, and that comment that you just made about Trump being, unethical, just made me almost drive off the road. being a lawyer, I thought you would be salivating over everything that's been going on with Hillary and the Senate, the FBI asking for immunity. I've been doing so much research and doing, I guess, not reading the Facebook comments, and I just kind of opened my eyes. I guess I've been naive and blind to the fact, that I thought that there wasn't corruption and the mainstream media didn't put in, I guess, a certain bias. But, I mean, it's so apparent this election that I can't do another 4 years of Democratic term.
I think that's the consensus for those folks who are in your position. And I take the position, I guess, I'm not closing my eyes to all of the ethical issues that she's had over her career. Absolutely not. I think if I had if there was a winnable third party candidate, I would be voting for that winnable third party candidate or a different candidate.
He didn't do himself any justice this past week.
No, not at all. And I don't know. I'd rather, I guess when it comes down to it, I think they're both flawed individuals, but I think she's far more capable of getting into that office and running the country than he is. And so from, you're not going to hear me think that she has some moral high ground. She doesn't. She's a typical politician. And I really wanted this year to have somebody new that was not politics as usual. But if given...
I know I'm short on time, so I just need to ask you one question.
Go ahead.
If it was you or I in that position where she basically lied in front of, the Senate, we'd be in jail by now.
Perhaps. Do these folks generally get an advantage over ordinary folks? I mean, listen, you if you had
I get that. Yeah.
I mean, if you were carrying a half an ounce of marijuana, you'd be in jail. These people,
I get that. I get that aspect of it, but I mean, it's so egregious and so blatant, and the cover-up's so mass. I mean, now that the head of the FBI is asking for immunity, I don't know a lot about law, but I know that there's something wrong.
Yeah. Well, I respect your opinion, but
I just had to get.
I can't push. My finger just won't do it. I can't do it.
No, I hear you. It's a weak election, and it's sad that this country is so great and has so many great people that these are the two people that we have.
Yeah. Exactly, that we chose.
Unfortunate. Dean, thank you for your time, sir.
All right, Joseph, be well, and thanks for listening to Court Radio.
Bye-bye.
Take care. 215-227-2727. Joe's voting for Trump, and I get his dismay with the political process, but I can't have him with a finger on the button on the day after election. I just can't do it. 215-227-2727. We're just knee deep in calls, and Monica's tackling them one by one. So, folks, be patient. Let's talk about something that's a perennial favorite and that comes up time and time again. And that is decisions we make about our automobile insurance policies and how that can affect us and our family for literally the rest of our lives. If I've represented one, I've represented thousands of people who have significant injuries and who are not sufficiently compensated for their injuries simply because they did not have sufficient insurance coverage. There's only one person, when you're sitting at home today thinking about this, there's only one person who can protect you and your family, and that person is you. Because you cannot count on your fellow man or woman to maintain sufficient insurance coverage. Because talking about politics, we have a law in Pennsylvania that mandates everybody who owns a car must have $15,000 per person or $30,000 per accident in liability coverage. The most any one person can get, no matter how catastrophic your injuries, is $15,000 if the tortfeasor or wrongdoer has this minimum policy. Most people, it should come as no surprise, most people have the minimum policy or minimum coverage. And so this person who may have been texting on the phone and takes you out and changes your life forever, this person has a 1530 policy, and the insurance company gives us a call and says, we're really sorry for your client's injuries. Here's our $15,000. And the clients say, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I can't work anymore. I've got medical bills in the tens of thousands. Let's go after the individual who caused this injury. And I say, that's a big waste of time. You're going to spend whatever little bit of money you get out of this claim, you're going to spend it chasing after an individual who has no assets. Now, I mean, I guess there's always an exception to the rule, and you could have somebody who's a millionaire or significant assets that you can attach who at the same time has a minimum policy. But usually, folks who have assets have sufficient coverage to protect those assets. And it's usually the folks who don't have any assets whose assets are all burdened with mortgages and whatnot, who have the minimum coverage. So going after them really is a pointless exercise that won't net you anything in substance in your pocketbook. And so I say, how can I protect me from them who have only $15,000 in insurance? And the answer is simple. You get as big an uninsured and underinsured motorist policy as you can absolutely afford, because that's the coverage. When everything is said and done, and you're injured by somebody who doesn't have insurance coverage or doesn't have sufficient insurance coverage, at the end of the day, you're going to turn back to your own policy for uninsured and underinsured motorists, and that's where you need your protection. And so if you're somebody making $40,000 or $50,000 a year at a job and you can't work anymore, this is kind of your disability policy. It's the coverage that will protect you in the event that you are significantly injured in an auto accident. And when you step up from $15,000 in coverage, the minimum, to $25,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 or $500,000, you're not stepping up your premiums at the same level each time that the coverage is increasing. It's cheaper, dollar for dollar, to buy more coverage. And so you got to talk to your agent. You got to talk to your broker. You got to, or if it's an online company, you got to put numbers in and play with numbers and keep watching the premiums until you get to a premium that you can afford, but that provides you with the most coverage. It's simple. 215-227-2727. And you know what? My Philly lawyer has, and I've always said this to my Court Radio listeners, if you want to bring your policy into the office, I will sit down with you and review your coverage and explain what you need, what you have, and where you're short on coverage on your auto policy. I've done it many times for listeners who have given me a call and brought their policy in. I'd be happy to do it again. All you got to do is give us a call, and we'll schedule you in during the week, and somebody will sit with you. Maybe it'll be me, somebody else. Maybe Saul will sit with you. But you'll have an opportunity to understand your insurance coverage like you never did before. You know, insurance coverage is meaningless until you have the accident, and then it's too late to change things. You know, once you've had that accident, whatever your coverage is on at that moment in time is frozen, and you can't change it or affect the outcome from this accident. You've got to plan for this in advance. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Karen, line 2, Eric, West Philly. Karen. Hi, Karen. Good morning, and welcome to Court Radio.
Hey, Dean. It's your favorite client. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How about you?
I'm good. You just discussed my whole situation. I just wanted to call and say thank you for straightening me out and taking on my case. Also, I had to do a couple changes to my policy. All right, with that being said, these candidates that we have to vote for, the lesser of the two evils, the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. It won't be Trump, definitely. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, no. I agree. I agree. I think they're both flawed candidates, but at the end of the day, you have to choose one. And I think when you weigh their strengths and weaknesses, and what they've done for the country. While Hillary has her issues for sure that go back decades and investigations, the bottom line is that she's been a public servant for over 30 years, and she's done.
Knowledgeable. She's definitely knowledgeable. She over Trump, she was the first lady, secretary. I just she's more knowledgeable. I think she'll do a better job. Just put it like that.
Yeah. I agree with you, Karen. Thanks for calling Court Radio. Thanks for being a wonderful client. All right, take care, dear. Bye-bye. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Carlton from Newcastle, Delaware. Line 4, Eric. Carlton, how are you?
Great, Zach. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful, thanks. What's going to happen? What's going to happen on Election Day this year? Who's winning?
I don't know. It depends on how much the American people is swayed by all the BS that the media likes to feed the American people in regards to these candidates. And unfortunately, too many of the American people. They're just persuaded by, the media hoopla that goes on. When I look at Trump and I look at Hillary, the one thing I agree with the last speaker, Karen, is that that neither one of them are great candidates. I think the world leaders across the world is just looking at the United States as, wow, what a joke for 2016 in regards to what we have to choose from. But now saying that, when you look at Trump, and I heard you earlier make a mention about his taxes. As a businessman myself, I think it was smart if he utilized the rules and the laws, 21 years ago when he wasn't even thinking about running for government, to cut down his taxes to as low as possible. And he did it legally. It's not like he was trying to cheat or doing something illegal. I think people make a whole bunch of noise off of things that are irrelevant back on days when they wasn't even thinking about it, of becoming the president of the United States of America. But, the one of the things that I think about, too, is that the one thing that this nation has never had is someone who is a business leader. Not that I say that Trump is the best candidate, but you do need somebody that knows something about business. Having Hillary up in that seat is business as usual. Yes, the American people want change, and that's why we're looking at a quote-unquote, a new person with new ideals such as Trump, and we're also looking at a female candidate the first time in history because everybody wants change. President Obama, as the first, minority president that we have, and it's like, great, okay, he's there. However, not enough change has taken place and has occurred to really booster our economy. So now we're looking at a female president and somebody who is a business leader. But they both are jokers, though. Hillary, it will be business as usual, and Donald Trump has zero charismatic, and his his moral values, I don't know. It's very questionable. Does he know how to run a business? Absolutely. I think there's no question about that. Can he run the government? I don't know. It's kind of questionable because it's like, can you really talk to other world leaders? Will they respect you?
Yeah, the answer to some of those questions is no, and
right.
I think that he's run a business and he's grown his brand. I don't know that necessarily equates to being able to run a country and have diplomacy and be able to work with world leaders to accomplish change around the globe. I mean, we're a global economy now, and we're a global, interaction is global everywhere. And, I believe, as I've said before, it's the lesser of two evils. But I think I think everybody says, left, right, up, down, everybody says on the first day of the presidency, nobody, in all the time we've been a country, nobody will take office who is more prepared to lead this country than Hillary Clinton. From her vast experience that predates her taking office, nobody. And so when you want to have somebody who can sit down with a world leader, she's visited like 170 countries. She knows all of the world leaders. She has a relationship with them. Who's he? He's nobody. He's a guy who's, he's like a carnival barker, screaming to bring you in under the tent to, see the 300-pound elephant or something. I mean, he's a joke in many ways. And yeah, I too am a business person, and I think you should pay as little taxes as possible. In fact, I think it's in the Constitution that, it's your obligation to pay as little as possible. But, he's just I don't know. He says he gives money to charitable organizations, and then we find out he really didn't give it, or he gave it from some pot of money that he really didn't. It didn't hurt him or affect him. He's just. He's sleazier, okay? He is sleazier than her, and I gotta and I don't know, the people who are voting for him. A lot of the people, she said it, deplorable. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a whole lot of people who are going to vote for Trump who I think are just racist and just kind of like scared people. Scared. They're in fear of the future. I embrace the future. Education is important. Technology is important. I want to be a competitor on a world level for America, and our kids aren't competing with anybody right now.
You're right.
We need to spend more money.
We used to be in the top 10 in regards to our education.
Right. We need to spend more money on. We need to spend more money on education and less money on jails and prisons. We need to spend more money on drug addiction and rehabilitation, and less money on trying to fight a losing war. So I don't know. I got ideas, and I think that she is more inclined to think about the things that are important to me, which I think are important to this country. I'm voting for Hillary Clinton.
I don't know. I mean, I don't particularly care for her ideal about the tax hikes all across the board. I do like his ideal in regards to the tax breaks all across the board, especially when you're talking about businesses. And I don't think when you talk about her 30 years, it's like, yeah, she has 30 years. However, there's some stronger impacts and things that she could have done and she could be doing right now, but she has not. And I just think it's business as usual when she gets in there.
I'm not going to.
I wish it was a great independent candidate, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, I know.
There's not. But I agree with you. I agree with you. But when I do that weighing game, I'm a little bit further down the pike with her than him. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for calling us.
All right. Take care, Zach.
All right. 215-227-2727, my Philly lawyer, and Court Radio on Sunday mornings. We've been talking about Trump and Clinton and elections, and, it's what's got people fired up. So let's keep it going. Let's talk to John from Glassboro, New Jersey.
Hey.
Hey, John. Welcome to Court Radio.
How you making out this morning?
I'm doing fine. It's a little rainy here in Philly, I know it's always sunny, but it is a little rainy in Philly today, and it's been a cool weekend. But you know what? I'm embracing autumn. It's so good to kind of, I love the change of seasons. What do you think about that? I mean, there are people around this country who never really get to experience that.
Yeah, I love it. Everything has distinct, like this time of year is like, high school football game, and then winter and spring, and summer has all that, going to Ocean City the first time when you're 17, 18, or with the family. We do have
senior
remind us.
Senior week down the shore.
Yeah, and the first time at great events. Yeah, there's a lot of seasonal changes with that. I'll tell you this. I got to disagree with you. I think I'd be willing to put a big wager up on this. We're going to wake up the morning after this election, and Trump is going to be our president for the next year, 8 years. So we're going to have to embrace that. And I think the undertow, the two best examples I have are Brexit and Jesse Ventura in Minnesota. There is an undertow of people who just want somebody to lift up the kimono on this pile of trash and corruption and give a fresh set of eyes to it. If you elect her, it's just the same thing. But besides, my first cousin's a law professor at George Mason University, Jonathan Turley. He wrote an article last week, and I know because he comes from Illinois, he's a full-blown Democrat, full-blown. And he said, when you give 5 different people immunity on a subject, he said, you always are giving one person immunity to get to someone else. They gave everybody immunity in this 30,000 email thing, just so they could everyone is getting off. There is no investigation to even figure out what happened, because it's so obvious that people committed crimes. So after you've been told don't destroy anything, and after you've been given immunity to go on destroying things, to me that's just they don't respect the law at all. They don't respect democracy at all because they stole it from Bernie Sanders. They don't respect. They'll cheat on a debate right in front of us, and collude with Lester Holt to totally just set her up with softballs to hit out of the ballpark. They just don't have any respect for our intelligence, and maybe we don't deserve it anymore. But she just offends me at so many levels. And while I don't voice it to a lot of people that I will be happy when he cleans her clock and wins like 45 states, because I do think there is a Jesse Ventura.
All right, listen. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, John. On the Sunday after election, you got to call back. One of us has to. One of us has to acknowledge we were wrong.
Absolutely. And then 8 years later, I'll call you and we'll just debate whether he was one of the best presidents and whether he did stop, the globalist. When you keep saying global, I'm with that. I want to trade with everybody. But I'm not the way it's going now. There is a globalist move, and they can't stand them. They're scared to death of them, and I love that. And this is the generation where I do believe people's names start to come to fruition, like Bernie Madoff. How do we hand a guy with a name like Madoff $11 billion, and somebody 2 generations ago stamped on his forehead that his grandfather made off with everybody's money? I think Janet Yellen
made off with everybody's money. Made off.
Well, how can we not see him coming? How can we not see Janet Yellen? She's going to be yelling her head off, and we're going to be like, yo, you should have raised interest rates a long time ago because you can't inflate something and try to create something out of nothing, and nobody's going to be listening there no matter how loud she yells. How we keep giving our money to all those guys that started that new Amazon company in China. What was it? Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Like, how many times can they throw it in our face and we have to see it and read the words? And I think trumps this. He sees.
Yeah, but come on. Wait a minute, John. I listen. I went along with this, but here's a guy who his business, right? He's building ties and shirts that he's hawking at Macy's in China, and then he's making all the profit and paying no taxes. Come on, you can't put these two people together and tell Dean Weitzman that he has some superior advantage ethically and legitimately over her. I'll agree with you and everybody else that it might be, politics as usual when we get Hillary Clinton. Okay, I'll agree to that. But reluctantly, I'll take politics as usual as opposed to somebody who has said the offensive things he has said about women, the comments about Muslims in America. It's one thing it's one thing to speak your mind and not necessarily feel compelled to be politically correct. It's another thing to be a big buffoon and just keep on digging your own grave. I mean, if you're an intelligent guy and you want to get elected, start acting presidential. He can't do it. He just doesn't have the capacity. I don't know. John, thanks for calling Court Radio, and promise me you'll call me. Promise me you'll call me on the Sunday after election. Be well, and thank you very much. 215-227-2727. People, we're having a good time here talking about the election, but we got to listen to our sponsors. Give me 2 minutes of your time, and we'll be right back.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. We've been having some fun talking about the election. I'm Dean Weitzman, and it is October the 2nd, first Sunday in October. We're beginning our last quarter of the year. My, how time does fly. This election, however, hasn't flown by. It's eaten the American people up for what seems like forever. We had 1 year of, primaries and then 1 year of election. And it was never like this before. It seems like as soon as the election's over, the next election begins, and they get the people who are declaring their candidacy. So we're all caught up in this reality TV show called The Election, and people are taking sides and getting involved, I guess, and that's a good thing. John and Joe and Jeff and Bob, who really didn't get involved in elections before, to the extent that they are now, are involved. I hope that people's motives are good. I think if people's motives are good, that we're fine. What scares me is that it seems like there's a high percentage of people that are going to vote for Trump who have perhaps some racist undertones to their desire for him to be elected. I don't know. But I believe, in the American people, and I would like to believe that in the end of the day, there's more people who have good hearts in this country and who want all of us to do better than there are those who are based on hate and fear. And I think that's, what Trump plays to is hate and fear. And I'm just not buying into that for today. Let's talk to Brenda from North Philly. Good morning, Brenda, and welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning. Good morning.
So,
well, Dean,
yeah, I know you're almost speechless.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, I hear you, but it's like, what do you say about all this, Brenda?
We got to look at people's agenda and remember who we are and where we want to be. Because I can't understand that a person would actually vote for Donald Trump, seeing and being able to read for themselves all the things that he's done and said. With Hillary, she made some mistakes, but we got to look at where she come from. Just like we look at where Donald Trump come from, she's been there. And if we get on other people's agendas, we're going to find ourselves back in the cheese line and in the Great Depression. When we look at American history, we can't look at Donald Trump. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, I agree with you.
Racism is alive and well in the United States of America. And when we look at this election right here, we can see it. The Republicans don't even want them.
Yeah.
Why should we?
Yep. Also a good point. And yes, racism is always a part of our country. You just hope that at the end of the day, it's not the majority of our country.
Exactly. It's not life-affecting.
Right. And
I know not to cut you off or nothing, but when 9/11 happened, everybody befriended somebody that they thought they would never befriend.
Right.
And that's what we got to look at. Like, are we befriending Mr. Trump because we think he's going to take us to that level that, white people are the majority and the most powerful? Or are we looking at him because he represents what we really want?
Well, if that were the case, I don't think this would be a close election.
Exactly.
But, and you look at people like John, who was an earlier caller, who says he's a small business person, that he's...
So am I.
Right.
Excuse me.
Okay. Trump declares bankruptcy 6 times and beats all these small businesses and laughs in their face. Mm-hmm. Come on. That's enough. Yeah.
The basket is heavy right there. And we can add so much more to it. It just doesn't even make sense.
Right. So then you got to wonder, when somebody is so recalcitrant in their desire to vote for him, they can't be shaken, no matter how badly you show the things he has said and done. When they can't be shaken, you have to wonder what their motive is.
Exactly. What's the agenda? What's next?
All right, Brenda, thanks for calling Court Radio. God bless. Have a great Sunday.
You too, and thanks for having me.
All right. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Joshua from Hamilton, New Jersey. Hi, Josh. How are you? And welcome to Court Radio.
God bless you, my friend. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Enjoying the conversation about Trump. What are you weighing in on here?
Listen, Trump is not presidential material. I agree with what you've been saying, but what John was saying, I don't agree with him too much. But we have to understand, we say everybody make mistakes. That is true. That's a fact. But even though Hillary has longevity in this thing, she knows what she's doing. And I'd rather go with her knowing that she has the experience and she can take the country where it needs to be. I don't see Donald Trump doing that for the American people because Donald Trump is interested in Donald Trump, and only Donald Trump is he interested in, no one else.
I don't think Donald Trump is going to want to be president the day after, God forbid, if he were elected. I think the day after he wakes up and goes, what was I thinking? You know, here he is jaunting all over the world in his private jets, going to his various country clubs and all over the world. He's going to be locked into a bubble in the White House with Secret Service on his back. And he's, I don't even understand what the desire is, but power... Power, it corrupts, absolutely.
Yes, it does. I think that he looks at the presidency as the ultimate power, the ultimate completion for him, which it could be. But he's not thinking like a politician should think. And we look at people and we like to bring out their faults, which is, I guess, okay. But we bring them out, but we don't look at what they have done. Yes, they did this, they did that, but look what they're capable of doing now. And we're not looking at those things. And we have to see the fact that this man is racist. There's no sweet way to put it. He's truly racist, and not just against one race. He's racist to the whole human race. he doesn't care. He's bluntly said it. He's spoken it many times, and he doesn't apologize for anything that he feels is wrong.
Yeah. I think one of his quotes was, "I could go out in the middle of Fifth Avenue and kill somebody, and nobody will do anything about it."
And he could be right.
Yeah.
You know, make no mistake, America, we are a strong country, and I love this country. We are a strong country, and we are strong people. You know, but we have feelings, we have a heart, and if you mishandle it or you handle us wrong, then we're going to catch feelings about some things. You know, racism is a thing that's been going on in this country basically all my life and my ancestors' life. So this is something that we're trying to heal from and get past. But people like him keep us in the dark ages and let us know that it's never going to change because there's people like him. And we can't have people like him running the country. It just can't happen.
I certainly hope not. Josh. And, you know, I think that I think it goes without saying that he's about dividing us. He's about creating fear. And I'm just not down with it today. You know, I think that we're better than that as a people, and we can rise above the nonsense of Donald Trump.
Right.
All right,
I
Josh.
have one last thing, if you will let me.
All right.
He says he's for law and order, right?
Yep.
He said that. Well, law and order should start knocking on his door now because of all the injustice and all the corrupt things he's done. So now let law and order proceed in his life.
Right. How about
he
this?
likes it then.
How about this? Donald Trump's walking down Fifth Avenue, okay, you know, wearing a hoodie. And he gets stopped, right? He's trying to be anonymous. He gets stopped and frisked on Fifth Avenue. They throw him up against a wall, pull his hands behind his head, and start running their hands up and down his Trump body, okay? He's all about stop and frisk. Everybody should be stopped and frisked. Come on, man. Leave us alone. Get out of my face.
He'll sing a whole different tune if that happened to him.
Yeah. You kick his legs apart, right?
Camden.
Yeah, come on. Stop and frisk.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
Stop and frisk works as long as it's not me and my family you're stopping and frisking.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Josh, be well. Thanks for calling Court Radio.
You too. God bless you, my friend.
Take care. 215-227-2727. Let's see. Keisha from Camden. I don't know. Everybody in New Jersey's fired up. We got more New Jersey callers than I can shake a stick at. Hey, Keisha, welcome to Court Radio.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your comment? What do you got on your mind?
I don't do politics like that, and I've been following this election to the extent my stomach will allow me, because it upsets every time I hear Donald Trump open his mouth. To me, he's a bigamist. But I'm listening to also the people that follow him. And the bad thing about it is, when you listen to people like Chris Christie who support Donald Trump, these people don't even have no lack of knowledge or understanding of what his motives are. It's always, I believe he means this. Well, if you believe it, if you're not sure, why open your mouth? And again, like one of the other callers said, if the Republicans don't want him, why should we?
Yeah.
Every former president has endorsed the next one of the other running mates for the upcoming year. Not even the Bushes have endorsed Donald Trump. I mean, you want me to support somebody who airlines have failed, university was bogus, every casino shut down, bankrupt. They just don't support their workers. Like, you want me to support this for my country? I don't like going back to odd and even days for gas. I don't like going back to everyone else. I don't want to stand in the line waiting for food. I don't want to have to sit here and worry about, okay, is my son going to get shot for walking to school when he wears a hoodie, or worrying about what you want to do with Muslims. I have Muslims in my family. So when you do that attacks me personally. I'm not Muslim, but I have cousins that are, so you want to look at them differently because they're not you.
Yeah.
And my God, we're looking at your wife. Respect to all the first ladies we've ever had in office. Michelle Obama is the most upstanding, upscale lady. Elegance is her.
Yep.
And we want somebody who poses nude on a magazine, and we want that example for our children. I have daughters. And my oldest wife, she's like, Mom, he just called me ugly. I'm like, exactly. She was like, I swear if I could vote, I'm putting my name on the ballot. My nephew was like, I don't want that man. He's orange and he looks crazy. Like everything that comes out his mouth is literally sugar, honey, iced tea. Somebody needs to sew it up and pierce his kneecaps with an ice pick. I don't know.
Did you say pierce his kneecaps?
Yes. I'm floored with the people who actually support ignorance. Ignorance beget ignorance, but at the same time, there's some things you cannot ignore in life when it's going to affect your life, your children's life, your grandchildren's life, and the list goes in. You have to think about reality. And it's not to say that I support Hillary because she followed Barack Obama. It's the fact that she has longevity. She has time.
Listen, it goes, Keisha, it goes without saying that everybody, Republicans, Democrats, right, left, pundits, people who are critical of her, everybody says the same thing. She will enter office with more experience than any president ever entered office in the history of the United States. For the first female president, that's not a bad thing to say. Here's a woman who comes into office ready to sit down, take command of the country in a way that it's never happened before. And God willing, that's what we're going to see. Keisha, thanks for calling Court Radio, and have a great Sunday. We got to take another break, folks. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. It's Court Radio. We've been tackling the thorny question of who should be the next president of the United States. And we've had positions from both sides of the aisle. And I think that some of the people who are going to vote for Trump truly have the right heart, okay? I think they may be misguided or they may be mistaken, but they do have the right heart. They're doing it for the right reasons. There's a lot of people who I think are going to vote for Trump who are just haters, okay? And so I don't know, but this is a legal show. Do you think maybe we can hit a legal question? Let's talk to Tracy from North Philly. Hey, Tracy, welcome to Court Radio.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry for keeping you on hold so long, dear. I just want to say that, this is a legal show, and you are the only one who called today with a legal question.
Well, actually, after listening to you, I had a couple of opinions about a few things, but my legal question was, my father passed away, and we haven't been able to find out if he left a will or anything. Is there any way to find out if our names, as in the daughters, if our names are on any legal documents?
Well, for one thing, you can go, he died in Philadelphia County?
Yes.
You can go to the Philadelphia Register of Wills and see if an estate has been raised.
Okay.
And if you know who your dad's lawyer likely might be, you can call the law office and ask if there was a will that was prepared and probated. But there's not, I know a lot of people who die with wills, and the wills get misplaced and burned and tossed, or who knows where they are. And at some point, their estate is dispersed pursuant to the intestacy statute. So there's an intestate statute is the statute that controls estates when there is no will.
Okay.
And when that
now he has a wife,
right,
and she's not giving up any information. I needed just a mere copy of the death certificate, which I later found I could have gotten on my own. But when I asked her, she said I had to check with her lawyer, which raised a hair for me. Like, what do you need a lawyer for? I just didn't understand the whole part of it. But my dad had girls, and there's no way in God's green earth he didn't leave, even if it was just his Bible. You understand what I'm saying? For his daughters.
Yeah. And again, if there is a will, it has to be probated down at City Hall. And he could have given everything to his ex-wife. I assume she's not the mother of you girls. And
no.
And if he has no will, then under the intestate statute, she gets half of the estate, but you all get the other half. If there's no will. But if there is a will, then it's probated, and you can see it. It's a public document at that point.
Okay. All right. And I also would like to say, I listen to you every weekend, and it really made me feel a lot better when you made the comments you made about some of the callers coming in, because I just couldn't see you sitting there allowing some of the comments that were coming through regarding Trump.
Right.
I really can't imagine him running our country. I was a Bernie Sanders fan, but Bernie had ideas but not a plan. Hillary has a plan. So that is where my heart is. I really hope people wake up and realize that we can either have the first woman president or the last president ever. And it's just that simple.
I hope that's not what happens, but I appreciate your comments, and thanks for being a listener to Court Radio.
Thank you.
Take care. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Mike. Line 4, Northeast Philly. No, gone. Sorry, Mike. Mikey. How about a Rowena on line 3 from Middletown, Delaware? Hello, Rowena.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you, dear. I'm wonderful, thanks. So, what's going on in Delaware these days?
Oh, Delaware is nice and quiet. I'm loving it. That's it. That is it. But, I commute to Philadelphia to work. And this morning, I listen to you every Sunday morning when I'm working and I'm on my way home. And this morning you were talking about Donald Trump. I do not have a legal question or anything along that line, but I just want to say I migrated to this country around about 26 years ago, 27 years ago from Jamaica, and I have experienced a lot of different elections. I've never experienced one in this magnitude. Just to see, what saddens me is that we talk about how far this country has come in terms of race relations. And in my opinion, there is no relation between races, because as soon as something happens and someone is not liking what the next person is doing, their true colors show. And this man came out of nowhere and just decided one day that he could do a better job running this country based off of nothing. He has absolutely no experience. His experiences is what? Making billions of dollars off of immigrants' backs that he does not like. You can file bankruptcy a number of times.
Six.
A number of
Six.
times. You have billions of dollars. And you can file as many bankruptcies as you choose fit, and then throw it in the people's faces. Say, yes, I did it. I can do it. And he's completely proud of his
Right.
behavior.
Meanwhile, at the same time, Rowena, at the same time that he's filed 6 bankruptcies for 6 of his companies, poor college students who are burdened by hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt who don't have a job cannot declare bankruptcy on their student debt. It's illegal to declare bankruptcy on student debt, while at the same time he stiffs gazillions of people. I mean, I don't understand how a working normal person can vote for this guy. I mean, he's the antithesis of a hardworking small businessman like John in New Jersey.